Hi, I'm Zuchobeni Tungoe. I'm a 22-year-old singer, songwriter, and an independent artist. I am also the reigning Miss India Nagaland. None of the designations that I just mentioned defines who I really am, by the way. But it is the imperfectly perfect person that I've become through my hardships and the learnings that I've taken along the journey of my life. Is exactly what defines me. But first, I want to mention that I'm very privileged to be part of the virtual edition of the TEDxOsmaniaU University event as one of the speakers. Thank you very much. So let me begin. My journey to success. It has been quite bumpy and a lot of unspoken sufferings have been involved. Most of them have to do with my mental well-being, right? To be able to cope up with the discrimination and all the negativity to be where I am today, I believe it is success. Success to me is not the work I'm doing or the money that I'm earning. It is, am I happy with the work that I'm doing? So I believe that, my life experiences into achieving success, happiness, will inspire some of you out there who is in need of some inspiration. So let me begin. From my childhood, I grew up in a small town in Nagaland, surrounded by the beautiful nature and my neighbors who gossips a lot. You can tell I come from a very, very small community. I could even hear my neighbors fighting over bland food. It was a small place and likewise narrow-minded society. No, I don't blame anyone here. It was just a society that happened to have less knowledge about the real world, perhaps. So you can blame the education system. Education was limited back then. So growing up, I was a bubbly girl with a very outgoing personality, and I just loved singing. Basically, everything that existed in the entertainment world excited me a lot. I loved to mimic my friends, relatives, and loved to entertain everyone with that secret talent of mine. Obviously, every time someone asked me what I wanted to become, I would proudly, very proudly, by the way, say a singer, a Miss India, and the third one I'll tell you at the end of my speech. So just listen to it carefully. Everyone would laugh at my dreams and would never believe it. Everyone thought it was just a wild dream from a small girl, right? Given the middle class environment that I was growing up, no one ever dared to dream big. I would say I was one of the first to have ever dared to dream big, and it all came with a price. I didn't know that I'm going to be a complete foreigner to a lot of things. My first experience with the beauty world was at a very, very tender age of 4. It was when I was chucked out of a group performance just because I was not presentable enough to wear a traditional costume on stage. I was told by my teacher that I should have worn that costume. I should not have worn that costume. You must be wondering that there must be something wrong with that costume, right? But no, I later realized that I didn't fit in because I was too dark and considered not beautiful. Or at least that's what I was told. So remember a 4-year-old having to go through that? Just imagine. I remember going home and crying about it and not telling anyone about what happened, not even my mom for that matter. I think as a 4-year-old girl, I must have secretly accepted it and I don't know, it hurt me. I did not share it with anybody. I know it's weird, right? For a small girl to just keep quiet for the things that went wrong. Well, it didn't stop there, and a series of such incidents kept happening, and in fact, most of my childhood memory is of bullying and hatred and people because of my skin tone and the non-conventional look. I was bullied a lot in school. In fact, I had no friends and more bullies. I never had anyone to share my lunch with in school. And not eating food in school, which is basically one of the most important nutritional habits of a school-going kid, I was not eating enough. So I gradually developed eating disorder, which led me to hating food, and more so, I was depressed. Having no friends in school was a tough time. Plus, when you're being bullied, I always questioned myself. I always questioned my dark skin and my thin figure, because I was constantly reminded that I'm not good enough by my teachers, my friends, my relatives, in fact, and everyone who saw me. Having a dark skin was almost totally unacceptable and a curse. Whenever I will talk of my big dreams to my friends, my dark skin was a hindrance. It was impossible for them, for someone like me, to dream. It was too ugly. I was too ugly to meet the standards of being popular, which is required for my big dreams, right? And I was always left discouraged and always left feeling alone. I grew up with zero self-esteem, but as the days went on, with constant bullying, I knew I had to stand up for myself because no one else was standing up for me. Deep down, I was indirectly being trained to be resilient and have patience, though I still needed confidence. So the first lesson of my life was resilience and standing up for yourself when no one else would. So in the quest of doing something for myself in 2011, when I read of an article in a newspaper of a state-level competition happening, I wanted to audition for it so badly that I knew I could prove my friends wrong, the bullies wrong, if I won. So I was so excited, but my parents wouldn't allow me to do so. Obviously, they needed no distraction in my studies. I had to sneak out of the house to give my auditions for it, and I even got selected. At that time, I was 12, and I had been singing since I was 4, so you can do your math. I believed in my singing ability, at least. My parents had no option but to support me since I'm already in the competition. And I was glad that they did, because that time of my life was the way opener to so many good things that followed. I won the competition, and good news, I was finally getting popular in school. The element I needed to help myself with self-esteem, and I was extremely confident at that time. I knew I have achieved something because all I wanted was friends, and now that I've gotten the attention, it's enough, and I'm almost there. Wow, right? Well, winning the competition came with a lot of responsibilities, like performing at local events and so on. So now I was even more vulnerable to the negative comments, more than I've ever been. Was I ready for it yet? I don't know. I wanted to perform on stages, and every time I would be called for a performance, I could see people laughing at me for the way I looked. I never understood why. I never understood why looks was so important. But well, it was, and I've experienced the bitter side of the beauty already. I just needed to embrace myself, though people called me ugly, and that's the first lesson. Embrace yourself. However, see all the vulnerable comments and putting yourself into such a situation, it led my parents to not support me in the field anymore. I started to embrace myself, but my parents was not helping me now. I was so vulnerable at the tender age of 13. I was exposed to the vulnerability of being a human, and I was a stubborn kid, yeah? I would sneak into concerts where I'm invited, and most of the time I return home to a nice scolding from my parents. But soon reality check, I realized that the fame that I had gained was fading away with winners of the competition that was coming up. I was once again taken for granted. I was even more depressed this time. Nothing lasts forever, I realized. And then the most important lesson of my life: don't try to fit in. Right. I realized that I was only trying to convince people and trying to fit in. I was holding myself so that I can fit into the company that never accepted me until the little fame that I gained. Now I realize that I should live for myself. I should sing because I love to, not because I wanted someone else to praise me for it. So the third lesson was dream big for yourself, okay? It is yours alone to dream and live. I continued with this vision, and now, doesn't matter what people talked of me, I have turned myself deaf in any of these negative comments that was falling against me. I knew I wanted to continue my singing, and it won't happen in in my state, in Nagaland, so I had to go out. I didn't know how, but I had to. So I went on to audition once again in 2017, not because I wanted to fit in, but because I wanted to give wings to my singing career. And God is so kind. He opened the way once again. I got selected in this national singing competition. I was one of the top 25, and for my state, it was a big deal. I was one of the top 25 in the stage 3. Everyone looked upon me and praised my bold nature to participate in a national platform. I was very happy. But this time, I was not being praised or being recognized, but because I have taken a step towards achieving my big dreams, and that was a point in my life that really helped me grow. Of course, it was followed by numerous negative comments. Everyone asked me if I'm earning out of it. But thankfully, this time, I wasn't doing it for them, but for myself. And I was satisfied because I was at least better than I was and has proven most people wrong. They say coming from a low middle class background and that from a backward state, it was impossible. But I made it happen. This time, it was a big deal for me. You must be wondering if I earn, right? Yes, I do. Path to completion, I was flooded by a series of opportunities which led me to travel the country, and I have been to a total of 19 states now in India. I may not be the highest paid artist, but I'm extremely happy where I am standing today and from where I was. The fourth lesson that I learned is don't measure your dreams in monetary terms. Don't put yourself in a box. No. The fourth lesson, now it was time to follow my second dream to become a pageant queen. I knew that I was not the most beautiful girl, of course, but I also knew that I'm trained mentally in order to face any negativity that followed. So I decided to follow my second dream. I decided I will start small. I decided to participate in a state-level pageant competition. Again, most people told me I'm embarrassing myself and that I'm not meant for this. People told me that the level of beauty standards that the pageant world has is beyond my capability. And I couldn't fit in. In fact, I didn't even know how to wear a high heel, so I had a hard time walking on the ramp on my first pageant competition, which was Miss Dimapur in 2019. But you know what? I won the competition. I have proven them wrong once again. But again, it led to a whole another level of controversy, but you know what? I was still happy. I was still one step closer to my dreams of walking in Miss India. I knew that a person cannot directly jump into an ocean to learn swimming. It needs a lot of skill and patience to learn, otherwise you will drown. And so I kept quiet. And last year, I got onto the stage proudly representing my state and my culture in the semi-finals of Miss India 2020. Of course, I did not win, but I did reach my dream of walking the ramp of Miss India. My second dream was fulfilled. Remember how everyone told me that it is out of my league? I proved them wrong once again. Oh, and I was one of the first from Nagaland to have made it to the semi-finals after a long wait of 45 years. And honestly, if you ask me, I am extremely proud of it. So the fifth lesson, be stubborn for your dreams. Always turn a deaf ear to the bullies. Also not forgetting, very important, always be kind to your bullies. Your smile irritates them and eventually they'll stop. And if they don't, just ignore. So, my third dream that I didn't mention before and kept it for the last is to become a motivational speaker. Well, I think today starts my beginning to becoming one, and starting from TEDx, I think it's an amazing start, right? Now, concluding this topic, my guest to journey of success, lots of tears and failures, and by now you know I am not the most successful in the worldly terms and the monetary terms, but today I am the most happy 22-year-old, and I don't regret any decision that I made because I dared to dream. I challenge you to dare to dream. Being happy and grateful for the work you do is what I call it a success. And today, I'm successful. Ask yourself if you're happy. Are you grateful? Ponder upon this and you'll be successful.